Behind me is my 1991 Mark II Golf driver. Now this is going to be the absolute budget build. We're going to try and get this done as cheap as possible, but making a great car at the end of it so that we can sell this on for a nice profit to fund some of the other cars in the barn that desperately need some money spent on them. Now, in the last video, we took a walk around the car. We had a look what was wrong with it, why it was sat here. And if you haven't seen that video, there's a link to the playlist down in the description. And if you're new here and this is the type of thing that interests you, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel and pressing the notification bell so you'll know when we upload the next installment of this budget Mark II Golf build. Looking at the car, it's sat here in its final resting place. Well, hopefully not final, but this is where we're going to do the work. And in the last video, we learned a couple of things. First of all, we need to do something about this engine. It's an absolute basket case. It was just thrown into the bay so that I could drag it away on a trailer. And it's been like that ever since. Secondly, and maybe not to do with this car, is the lighting in here is absolutely terrible. Now this is an old barn, but we need to do better. From the last video, I got a couple of private messages from my friends letting me know that it looked like the lighting was straight from an 80s adult movie. Above me, we've got these light panels in the corrugated roof. Now they're great for a barn, but when you're trying to control the light to film a YouTube video, not so good. And as the sun gets brighter and we get to around lunchtime, we tend to get this really soft diffused light throughout the barn. Behind me, we've got these strip lights on the wall. Now, they're pretty decent and they chuck out a fair amount of light. And you can see they're kind of reflecting off my face. But as the day goes on, the light gets brighter and shines through these roof panels. They kind of get lost. We get this hazy look to the video, and that's just not going to do going forward because I want to make sure these are the best quality videos of a lunatic in a barn with a set of spanners that they possibly can be. So what we're going to do is we're going to fit above us here a cable one side to the other, and we're going to mount a couple of those same LED strip lights on that to really illuminate this area. We need to sort the lighting out in here. So hopefully next week I'll have those up and it'll be a lot better. But anyway, back to the car. And first things first, we've got to take this engine out. You guessed it. We start by jacking it up and taking the wheels off. With those out the way, we can see how bad these brakes really are and the suspension, all pretty crusty, so we're going to change it. Then we're going to take the bonnet off and get it out of the way because we don't want to get it any more damaged than it already is. Hopefully we can save it. Now with the car jacked up, it's time to pop the ball joint bolts off to take the drive shaft out because we're going to leave the shaft on the box because, to be honest, it's all going in the scrap bin anyway, so we may as well take it out together and get it out our way so we've got a nice blank canvas. Now we've got this one bolt here for the front mount. There's the gearbox mount bolt there. And then behind here, we've got these tricky three that need to be removed. Wow, we would if they were in there. Yep, it looks like all three bolts are actually missing. So that saved me a job. Let's take the front panel off and get this engine out. Now, we need to get the bumper off. And then with the bumper off, we've got access to all the bolts to the valance and we can get the cross member out and everything else. So let's get under the car and pull these out. Well, that wasn't very tight. Now those bumpers are supposed to have two 17mm in holding it either side. But there was one each side, and as we're starting to learn with this car, as with everything else, they were barely in there. Literally one or two threads, and they just drop straight out. So again, makes it light work for me. And you can see that the front bumper is off, so we need to remove this plastic grille cover here. Now it's time to bring the engine crane in, support the engine, and we'll take that front engine mount off and the cradle that goes across the front of the bay. Then we've got easy access just to slide the whole engine out. Right, let's take that out of the way. Yeah, anything that's going to obstruct the engine, that's... Okay, yeah, take the strain. I know, like, people often think, oh, yeah, all these bits have been undone and lubricated and it's really easy because it's a YouTube video and you don't want to show how difficult it is. Look, I get that. And again, with that live stream, I showed you exactly how difficult it was. This, though, has literally, I mean, there was just no tension on that whatsoever. I mean, this is incredible. It really is, but still, I have no words. We've got one gearbox mount bolt to go, and then this engine is just kind of dangling. So we're going to take out this cross member across the front down here. Again, a couple of bolts, get that out of the way. Take that gearbox bolt out. I don't really need to say it, do I? Now, with all that out of the way, you can see we've got a lot of room here to get the engine out of the bay. And this thing is ready to go. And there we go. Little tug, which is good to go. Now again, normally you've got the manifold to contend with, the two little C-clips either side that you need a special tool, or if you're feeling brave, a big bar and just flick them off and hope they don't hit you in the face. But none of that today. No, we've literally just dropped the engine out in probably the best part of probably half an hour is all it's taken. Now looking in the engine bay, it doesn't look too bad. Some of these bulkheads on other cars tend to get quite rusty. This one seems to be pretty good. So I think what we're gonna have to do is put it back on its wheels, drag it outside and just hose off this engine bay so that we've got a nice blank slate, clean canvas, shiny engine bay to deal with. And then before we then look at what we're gonna put in this car. Now we're doing this on a budget. So there was never any doubt what donor car I was going for. That's right. I'm sure you've already guessed by now, there is no roof. So that means only one thing. Yep, we have gone for a Mark III or Mark 3.5 convertible. This donor car will give us everything we need to put into the 5-door. Let's get this car in the barn and I'll tell you why I've chosen this for our budget build. Now with the 3.5 in what will be its final resting place, let's pop the bonnet open and take a look at the engine that we're going to put into our little budget driver project. Now, unfortunately, this isn't the Crossflow engine, so we're not going to be putting bike carbs on this. We want to keep the cost right down. Now, this is the AGG engine. So these were found in the Mark III GTI, along with these 3.5 convertibles. This is a 1999, so I think this is the year before they started putting the Crossflows in. But look, this was cheap. This was like £200 with a couple of weeks MOT left on it. And for the eagle-eyed viewer out there, you may have seen this floating around the barn in the background for a little while. So this came up, it was too cheap not to buy. We're gonna go around the car in the next video, look at all of the plus points as to why this is a great conversion. Next week, we'll take a look at this, we'll pull the engine out and we'll start getting that thing fitted back up. So if that next video is up, you'll see it here. If not, YouTube's gonna show you something cool that it thinks you might like.